Good morning. My name is Andres de Leon, and I'm one of your students. I would like to talk to you today about diabetes, specifically type 1 diabetes. Now, we have two types, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is a genetic disorder that people are born with. There is nothing we can do to prevent that. We haven't established that far in medical science yet. Now, type 2 diabetes is a diabetes that's formed kind of diagnosed later on in life due to a lifetime of unhealthy lifestyle choices, diet, exercise, etc. So, type 1 diabetes is a complete change in life because you are now having to count how many carbohydrates you're bringing in. Let's back up a little bit. We know that carbohydrates is our body's main source of fuel for energy production, ATP. Um, Not the most powerful source, but the main source. Our body prefers carbohydrates because of the enzymes we have to break it down. Body's always going to pick the easiest route first. So, carbohydrates, we ingest them, they get broken down by enzymes such as amylase into glucose molecules. From glucose molecules, now the enzyme insulin begins to convert this glucose into pyruvate and other forms to begin into the citric acid cycle and electron transport chain to create ATP. Without this insulin, these glucose molecules will just build up in the blood, and eventually, not only are we changing our osmotic pressures between intracellular and extracellular in the vascular system, but we are also, our body, our cells become starved of energy. Through this starvation, they start breaking down proteins and fats, which in moderation is not necessarily a bad thing. However, with with this continues to happen, we start producing lactic acid, we start producing ketones, and our body will overall take on a acidotic state. This condition, known as DKA, diabetic ketone acidosis, can be fatal, and it can get fatal really quickly. So it's very important to keep an eye on glucose levels. So we check glucose morning, after every meal, at night, and we inject supplemental insulin in order to make up for the insulin that our pancreas is not producing. So this is all the big medical aspect of it. The nutritional aspect is because our body cannot break down these carbohydrates. We now have to think about what can we eat. So not only are we looking at nutrition labels, ingredients, counting carbohydrates, um, correlating that with how many units. General rule of thumb is for every 15 carbs is 1 unit of insulin. But now we think about which foods contain carbohydrates. So there's actually a diabetic pyramid that's very similar to the pyramid that the USDA used to use for the Food and Drug Administration. So the diabetic pyramid, instead of having your breads, grains, heavy carbs on the very bottom, we have a lot more dark green vegetables, still starchy and still contain a certain number of carbs, but not as much, but still providing enough nutrients. Our main source is going to be our dark green vegetables, starchy vegetables. And then we go up, of course, you have vegetables, fruits. You still want to get, you know, 3 to 5 servings, 2 to 4 servings of fruits. We have milks, 2 to 3 servings a day. We have meat and fish, 2 to 3 servings a day. Meat and fish, fantastic. Don't really have any carbs in most meats. Same with a lot of dairy products. You can eat as much as this, still get your protein, still get your fats without intaking a lot of carbs. And then, of course, the very top of the pyramid, your fats, your alcohols, um, red meat kind of be considered up there as well because of the saturated fat content. But this is the diabetic pyramid that is recommended to a person with diabetes to manage their carbohydrate intake and overall health through nutrition instead of medication. Medication is still necessary, but it doesn't have to be the only way. I cannot stress that enough. Healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, routine diet, counting, knowing what you're eating, what you're intaking, and what your body needs to live is crucial, especially to a type 1 diabetic. Hope you enjoyed my presentation. Type 1 diabetes hits home for me because of my little cousin who was diagnosed when he was 5 years old. It always became one of those topics that just engraved in my mind. Please let me know if you have any questions, concerns. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.